Hi guys, Karrilee here from the Made to Pray podcast. We are launching out into video format slowly but surely this year. And I wanted to pop on and just share a little verse that stood out to me this week as I'm reading through the Gospel of John. I'm reading through the book of John several times this year. And so there'll be several nuggets because John is so good. But this is found in John chapter 6. It's Jesus walking on the water. What's not to love about that? It says, starting with 16, after waiting until evening for Jesus to return, the disciples went down to the lake. But as darkness fell, he still hadn't returned. So the disciples got into a boat and headed across the lake to Capernaum. By now, a strong wind began to blow and was stirring up the waters. The disciples had rowed about halfway across the lake when all of a sudden they caught sight of Jesus walking on top of the waves, coming toward them. The disciples panicked, but Jesus called out to them, "Don't be afraid. You know who I am." They were relieved to take him in, and the moment Jesus stepped into the boat, they were instantly transported to the other side. I mean, you guys. What's not to love about that? There are several ways to unpack this verse. But what stood out to me this week was that we all battle anxiety and fear. We can struggle with some doubt or unbelief or worry. And Jesus came to the disciples and he didn't ridicule them. He didn't get frustrated with them. He knows what it's like to be human. But instead, he said, "Don't be afraid. You know who I am." And I don't know how that hits you guys, but for me, it just reminded me that when I am battling worry or fear or I'm anxious, it's really easy for me to forget what I know. It's really easy for me to give in to whatever it is the enemy's throwing at me to get me off focus and off track. And Jesus comes to us in grace and power, and he says, "Don't give in to that. You know me. You know who I am." And I think that it was just a reminder for me this week that when I start to feel like those waves are too big and the storm is too scary and I can't fill in the blank, to put my eyes back on Jesus, because he's right. I do know who he is. I know him. And that is a plumb line. And that helps me take a deep breath and remember that if he's in the boat or if he asks me to walk on the water, if I'm with him, we're going to make it. We're going to make it. So be blessed. Have a great week. Lori and I will be back soon to record a podcast. I don't know that we're going to go completely video. I mean, listen, you guys, if you've been listeners for a while, you know that's probably not going to happen. But I believe the Lord asked us to branch out to YouTube. And so we will be doing some video podcasts, maybe once a month, twice a month. We'll see. Baby steps into that direction. But until next time, you can always tune in Spotify, Google, Amazon Music, iTunes podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find the Made to Pray podcast, where we talk a little bit and we pray. And so we invite you to join us every Monday morning is when we release a new episode, and we would love for you to listen, to lean in, and to pray with us. So until then, until next time, be blessed.